Guys, how's everyone doing today? Welcome to my cooking channel. Hope you guys are doing great. We're going to do an easy recipe here, banana nut bread. So obviously I've got some bananas that are browning, and they're browning pretty fast. As a matter of fact, I only bought them a few days ago, so I already spotted them browning. So everyone has bananas laying around. Quick, easy recipe to make a great banana nut bread, and a few ingredients. I'll have a couple of links down at the bottom for you guys. One would be the recipe. I'll have everything you need there, and also a couple other links for some things here, including your pans if you want to do mini loaves. We're going to do mini loaves on this one. However, the batch and recipe that I have, you can use a 9.5 inch by 10. You can do a 3.5 by 6. Different pan sizes you can use when you're making this bread recipe. So again, hope you enjoy it, and we'll kick it off right now. Alright guys, for this recipe here, the one I'm going to have at the bottom is for a 1 batch. I'm going to do a 2 batch, so what you see at the bottom of the video is I'm doubling that. So when you do it alongside me, you'll know that that's a double batch, which obviously gives you opportunity to make 3 or 4. In my case, I'm making 5 mini loaves, so, and 2 of them are going to be totally different than the other 3, and that's the reason why I wanted to do it this way. So for starters, we're going to start off with 1/4 cup of softened margarine. And so that's 2 1/4 cups of softened margarine. We start out with a 1/4 cup of canola oil, so that's 2 1/4 cups of canola oil. 1 cup of sugar, so that's 2 cups of sugar. And we want to blend that until it's good and smooth. Okay, so we're going to just get that margarine, sugar, and canola oil blended in pretty good together. Good sweet butter, basically. That's basically what that's going to look like there, getting into it. Okay, and then once that's completed, then you move on to your eggs. Room temperature eggs. You don't want them right out of the refrigerator. Try to get them at room temperature. Okay, so 2 room temperature eggs. In this case, we've got 4. And then we want 2 bananas. So this is going to be 4 bananas. However, one of them looked a little small, so what I did is I went ahead and grabbed 5 bananas. What I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and chop these up real quick and put them in the pan, and then whisk it. We'll be right back with that. So as we finish up this last banana, and that's all I did with them, is just sit here and put them into little slices. Make it easier to mash and blend in together. And then next, what we want to do is we want to come across and decide if we want the vanilla extract in there. I highly suggest it. It's totally up to you. Some folks think it pulls a little bit of too much flavor, and then some folks love it, so I particularly like it in this recipe. Alright guys, and then vanilla extract right after that. It calls for 1 tablespoon. We're going to put 2 in there because we're doubling up that batch. And that's pure vanilla extract, which is really good. Love it. Okay, and then we're going to just mash that in and blend that in really good together. You got your eggs in there, you got your vanilla extract, and as it starts looking, makes you think of banana pudding right off the bat. Maybe that's a good one to do next. It's the banana pudding. But you want to mash this until it's completely smooth and all your bananas lump free, and all your flavors really start blending in there good together. Okay, so where we're at is, alright guys, right now pretty smooth. We're going to start adding in our other dry mix, our flour, our baking soda, our salt, and start thickening that batter up a little bit. But that's the flavor right there. And let's kick it off by adding right into it 1.5 cups of flour, which for our purposes, obviously, it's going to be 3 cups. And I'm just going to blend that in as I'm stirring it, so it's not real cake in the beginning. We're trying to blend all of that in. So we're going to get that good and blended. And if you wanted to sift your flour, you can fine sift it. Sometimes that helps it as well. Keep it from lump free. In this situation, it's going to be in there pretty smooth, so I'm not concerned about that because of how wet I had the mix prior to going into the flour, going into it. So that's not a concern there. And keep folding over your edges if they start thickening up to pull that in to the center. So you want to get all of that blended in good, so all the flour's in there really good. Okay. Okay. Next thing we're going to add is that we're going to add the baking powder. It's 1 teaspoon of baking powder, so obviously that's 2 teaspoons. Throw that right in. It's 1/2 teaspoon of salt, which obviously is 1 teaspoon. And then the kicker here, we're going to do the milk. The milk is your choice. You can use buttermilk if you like. That also gives it a really good flavor. I'm choosing here just to use 1/4 cup of milk, so that's 2/4 cups of milk I'm going to put in there, but you could also use buttermilk as an alternate if you wanted to. And again, it just gives a little different flavor. It's all preference. And we want to blend all that in real good together. And that will turn into our mix. You can really smell the vanilla and bananas in this batter. And that's what she's going to look like there. A little loose, almost like a pancake batter thickness to it. Of course, the eggs, baking powder stuff's going to help it with that thickness and rise there. Okay, so now you're down left to your choice of walnuts here. I'm not going to blend them in just yet because I want to do something a little bit different in 2 of these pans here. So I'll show you that in just a second here. But we want to make, like I said, I'm making 5 mini loaves. So 2 of them I want to do a little bit different than the traditional walnuts inside and on top. So give me 1 second. Alright, so these pans here that we're going to use are from Chicago Metallic. They're called Strat pans. These are a lot smaller. These are mini loaf pans. You can get them if you just type in Chicago Metallic on any of your search sites and type in strapped pans. These will come up, I guarantee it. I'll put a link at the bottom. Different sizes for this particular one. The mini pans, they're about 3, I think it's about a 3 by 5.5, 3 by 6, and they're roughly 2¼ inch deep. So really good for gifts, and really good if you want to cut small slices for breakfast and put on a plate for presentation. So worked really good. Now what I was talking about earlier, we want to do something a little bit different with a couple of pans. And I'm going to start with the one dead center here, and I'm just going to fill it just a little bit. We're going to go about half full on this particular pan. Okay. And then I also want to come over, and we're going to do another one that's about half full. These are going to be our 2 different ones here. Okay. And that's going to be good. And on this particular one, we're going to make this one chocolate chip. So we're going to put in some chocolate chips. I believe I had 2 teaspoons of chocolate chips that I did there. And for this one here, I'm just going to blend it right in, right inside with the batter, and let that melt, give it a good chocolate flavor. It's the mini chocolate chips in there. And then just tap that down a little bit. Then we're going to sprinkle some across the top. That way as it bowls over the top, you'll be able to see them in there as well. So good there. Okay, and then this one here, I'm going to do something a little different with this one. I'm going to add some cinnamon sugar to this one here. So let me grab my cinnamon sugar. And we're just going to blend that cinnamon sugar right in. It's going to give it a different, unique flavor as well. And I coated these pans too with olive oil, so sprayed them with olive oil, so easy release. And I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit across the top. Okay, and we're good there. And now we're going to go ahead and add the nuts to the others. Okay, so we're going to add the nuts right into the rest of the batter. And for our nuts, we used quarter cup of walnuts chopped. Okay, and the thing about walnuts is if the fresher the better. If you've got walnuts that have been sitting in your cabinet for a year, that oil has already released, and it's not going to be a great quality nut. So the fresher the better when you can get your walnuts and any type of nut there. So we blended that right in. Then we're just going to go ahead now and finish off our pans. And I'm going about halfway on these pans. It's going to almost double in the size on these mini loaves. I'm probably going to have a little bit left over to play with. Yep, it's going to give me a little bit left. Okay, and this recipe again, I did what's going to be at the bottom of the video is for a one time. I doubled this up, and of course for this pan here it's an 8 by 4 and a 2.5 inch high or 2 1/4 inch deep pan is what this recipe is actually for. But for this reason, in the mini loaves, I went ahead and decided that we're going to do that. So that's what it looks like. Hopefully you can see that. And we're going to put them right in the oven. The oven's already preheated and ready to go at 325. We're looking for roughly 50 to 60 minutes, depending. I'm going to start checking it at about 45 minutes to make sure it's not sticking in the middle with a toothpick, just like you would do anything else for cupcakes or any other cake that you have. So we'll be right back, hopefully shortly. We're going to let them cook and we'll pull them out. See you. And one thing before I forgot to put them in the oven, you want to go ahead and top them off with some walnuts across the top as well. And I only did it on the 3. I left the ones with chocolate chips and the one with cinnamon still the same way. So just don't forget that before we put it in the oven. Alright, the 45-minute timer just went off, so we want to check it to see if there's any wetness in the center. Came out pretty good. Yeah, real good. So she is about done. I'm going to put about 3 more minutes on it just to make sure she's there. So right at the 50-minute mark is what we're looking for this particular one. And we should be good to go in about another 5 minutes. All right, our 5-minute timer went off, so we are good. I'll throw down a couple of hot pads here just to set the pan on. And there they are, turned out really good. Good lift on them. Good rate. And chocolate chips look good. The cinnamon one looks good. And you want to let them set for about 15 minutes before you slice them. So we're going to let that set for about 15-20 minutes and come back and take them out. And we'll slice them right after this. Alright guys, we let the bread set for about 15 minutes. The longer you let it cool, obviously, the easier it's going to be to slice. So we're going to go ahead and slice one just to see what the inside looks like. I'm going to take the one off the end and just going to make sure that it's not sticking. It seems pretty good, and it should just roll right out. It does. And that's a nice looking mini loaf right there. And it's still pretty warm. I almost want to let that cool even longer, but just to see what this looks like, we're going to cut a little slice off the side here. I'll show you what that looks like inside, but that's, man, that is awesome. That turned out really good. Hope you guys like it. Again, let it cool down. Slice it into small slices. You can sear it on the stove top on a pan, lightly butter, and that'd be great for breakfast as well as just a quick snack. The cinnamon one, chocolate chip one, you decide what you want to mix to change the flavors. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.